All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're unraveling a really dense Supreme Court decision to reveal what is, honestly, a gripping true story of government deception and legal ethics. We are unpacking Supreme Court case AC number 101795. Now, on the surface, I know that just sounds like a standard, run-of-the-mill legal filing, right? But buried within these pages is a shocking multi-million peso scam, and get this, it was orchestrated from within the very halls of a government agency.
We really have to start with this foundational principle right here. Public office is a public trust. I mean, consider the immense weight those words actually carry. Lawyers in government service, they aren't just practicing law, they are the physical embodiment of the state's integrity. Their oath literally binds them to protect the law, not break it. The Supreme Court expects them to completely put private interests aside. And today, well, we're going to see exactly what happens when a public servant decides to weaponize that very trust for their own personal gain.
So, Part 1, A Breach of Public Trust, the Fall of Attorney Michael John C. Del Mendo.
Before we get into exactly what he did, we really need to understand the stakes here. Look at this definition. Disbarment isn't just a slap on the wrist, okay? It is the absolute professional death penalty for a lawyer. It is not handed out lightly by the Supreme Court. It's reserved for the most imperative reasons. It exists, quite literally, to purge the law profession of unworthy members who tarnish the moral character of the bar. Keep this severe, ultimate penalty in mind as we walk through the crazy chain of events that earned Attorney Del Mendo this exact fate.
Moving on to Part 2, the Reconstitution Loan Scheme, How the Trap Was Set.
Okay, so our chronological true crime arc starts back in October 2015. Attorney Del Mendo reaches out to some brokers because he's looking for someone to fund a loan. And the collateral? A land title that was currently undergoing reconstitution, which, if you don't know, is basically the legal process of restoring a lost or destroyed land title. So he introduces himself as the head of the legal affairs department to a woman named Gilda Rosca, and he promises her, point blank, that the title will be released in just 30 days. Gilda agrees to finance this massive 11.2 million peso reconstitution. They sign a warranty, and here's the wild part. Del Mendo himself signs as the guarantor. He effectively leveraged his official government title to make the whole deal look completely impenetrable. To kick things off, the victim, Gilda, writes out a massive check payable directly to Attorney Del Mendo. And what does he do? He promptly encashes it. 3 million pesos. The official records confirm the whole thing. He took the check, he cashed it, and he was now officially holding the bag. Gilda at this point is heavily invested. Now, to keep the hook set and really prove his insider influence, Del Mendo provided what looked like an official Land Registration Authority report. I mean, think about it. When you're moving millions of pesos, you want receipts, right? So Del Mendo hands Gilda a photocopy of a report that appeared to be signed and approved by the LRA administrator, Eulalio C. Diaz. For Gilda, this piece of paper was the ultimate reassurance. It essentially told her, hey, the government is processing your transaction, your money is perfectly safe, and that title is coming. And because of that fate document, Gilda felt safe enough to personally deliver an additional 4.8 million pesos in cash directly to Del Mendo. Just let that sink in. She trusted that official-looking report so much that she handed over a literal mountain of cash. Between the initial check and this cash drop, Gilda has now surrendered almost 8 million pesos to a guy she fully believes is expediting a legal process on her behalf.
Which brings us to Part 3, Falsification and Evasion. The 30-day deadline passes.
So the promised 30 days pass, and a reality check at the LRA records section reveals a stunning plot twist. The entire illusion Del Mendo sold was a total fabrication. Gilda actually bypassed Del Mendo and went to check the archives herself, and what she discovered was that the report she based her multi-million peso investment on was completely spurious. Fake. The tax declaration? It didn't even exist. The government had absolutely no record of it whatsoever. Instead of delivering a real title, Del Mendo had literally just handed her photocopies of fake unsigned orders.
Part 4, the damning text messages, leaving a digital paper trail.
As you can imagine, once the fraud was exposed, Gilda desperately tried to contact Del Mendo. But he stopped answering calls, so she took to texting him. Her texts escalated rapidly, explicitly laying out the 7 million pesos she'd already handed over and aggressively demanding accountability. You can practically feel the panic and the anger in her words here. I demand for you to return the 7M now. She's spelling out the exact parameters of this illicit deal right there in the chat history.
And look at this next one.
These receipts detail exactly where the victim believed the bribe money was going. It creates a devastating written record of the corrupt scheme. She explicitly mentions an arrangement of $500,000 for the administrator and $1.5 million for the Register of Deeds. Gilda fully, 100% believed her money was facilitating bribes that Del Mendo was orchestrating from the inside.
Now, in stark contrast to his earlier swagger as a head of legal affairs, Del Mendo's responses become weak, evasive, and he constantly deflects the blame. When he's confronted with demands for 7 million pesos and explicit mentions of bribery, he doesn't even deny it outright. He just kind of plays dumb. He says he's going to verify things at the office and completely shifts the blame to someone else. It is the classic, desperate stalling tactic of a man who knows he's been caught red-handed.
Let's look at Part 5, the Supreme Court verdict, policing their own. Evaluating him under the Code of Professional Responsibility and Accountability, the court meticulously broke down his violations. Under propriety, he clearly shattered the rules on proper conduct and false representations by dealing in fake documents. But it's Canon 6 that's the real nail in the coffin here. Serious offenses. The court ruled that his actions legally constituted flat-out falsification and bribery.
Let's be clear, this wasn't just a broken promise. It was the complete and total weaponization of his public office. He forged official documents from his own agency. He used the prestige and authority of a government title to solicit bribes, and he showed severe moral delinquency. The Supreme Court emphasized that his private activities aggressively interfered with his official public duties. He didn't just swindle a private citizen out of millions, he actively damaged public faith in the justice system.
Ultimately, the Supreme Court ruled that Attorney Del Mendo failed the exacting standards required of government lawyers and permanently stripped him of his license. The final verdict is absolute. He was ordered stricken from the role of attorneys. He can no longer practice law, period. The system forcefully expelled a member who chose corruption over his sworn oath.
Which leaves us with a really profound question to ponder about accountability. If those sworn to protect the law are willing to forge its documents for personal gain, how can we actually ensure the integrity of our public institutions? You see, when insiders manipulate the machinery of government, it doesn't just harm one isolated victim. It compromises the entire foundation of justice. It requires constant vigilance, strict accountability, and courts that are actually willing to deliver that ultimate professional penalty to keep the system clean. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this helped unpack the critical importance of ethics in public service.